Dr. Sharif Abdullah offers a unique, hopeful, and visionary perspective on the persistent challenges of our time. His perspective is shaped by his urban upbringing of poverty and violence, his Ivy League education, and his work with impacted communities in America and in 45 countries around the world. His spiritual outlook is rooted in the consciousness of dozens of religions, faith traditions, and spiritual practices. Sharif offers this unique viewpoint, helping us chart a course that explains where we've been, where we are now, and how we get to a positive future that works for all living beings.
Hello, Sharif here. And today I want to talk to you again about the future, but I want to talk to you about my immediate future. I'm going to be traveling out of the country for a few weeks, and while I'm traveling, I'm not sure about what my technological access is going to be. So the videos may get a little erratic for a few weeks, but I'm going to try to keep up pace, and we'll see where we go. The other thing about the future, though, I had a few impacts today as I was taking my normal walk, and one of the biggest impacts was seeing a man on the ground, sprawled across the sidewalk, who appeared to be dead. And I paused long enough to see that he was breathing. And then the next question is kind of, what do you do? The question for me isn't what services can I muster for this particular person who is sprawled out on the sidewalk. My question is, what do we do for all of the people, the hundreds, the thousands, the tens of thousands of people who are sprawled across the various sidewalks, roadways, doorways, sleeping in cars in our society? The question is, how do we choose to look at this? What kind of glasses do we put on in order for us to make sense of it? Well, if you're coming from the left, you are putting on the glasses of, I see this problem and I'm going to throw money at it. Now, the money won't make it go away, but I'm going to feel better about myself because I threw some money at it. If your glasses are coming from the right, these glasses are opaque. You won't see it at all. And you act as though the problem doesn't exist. Now, I'm telling you that both of these approaches are, I was about to say incomplete, but just non-responsive. I don't care how much money you throw at a problem. If the guy that was sprawled out on the sidewalk, if you gave him $100,000, his problem will still exist. If you gave a counselor $100,000 to help this guy, that guy's problem will still exist. What we need is a complete new approach. You've heard me say this before, and I think that this is the thing that makes my videos so unpopular. Maybe what I need to have on my videos is a little dancing kitten or something, so that people will pay attention at least to the cat. The thing that I'm talking about is we have to do something. We cannot wait for our leaders to do something. The leaders here in Portland, like everywhere else in the country, have absolutely no idea what to do about homelessness. No idea what to do about societal illness, not mental illness. These people are sick, and they're sick because of the society that we've created. We have the answer. We know what to do. But we are not the people, we think we're not the people making the decisions. The people who are making the decisions, the people who have a title in front of their names, Mayor so-and-so, Congressman so-and-so, Senator so-and-so, President so-and-so, have no clue what to do. It will take a completely new way of thinking about how we're in relationship with each other. It will take a new set of values. In our society right now, we have a primary value. The primary value is make more money. Now, notice that I didn't say have enough money. There are plenty of folks out here who have more than enough money, and they're out here struggling to get more, This is a different form of mental illness. The guy that sprawled out on the sidewalk has one form of mental illness. A person who has more money than they could ever spend in 10 lifetimes, if they had 10 lives to live, one after the other, they still would not be able to spend their money. They can't even spend the interest on their money. That person's trying to get more and more and more. That person has a different form of mental illness. They are a money addict. They are addicted to a substance, and the substance is called money. It's like, ones and zeros in their bank account. Now, money addiction is very interesting because it's the only form of addiction where the addictive element is left in the hands of the addicts. We need to have a way to control that addiction. But the people who are controlling the addiction, the SEC and the Treasury, etc., are all steeped in the addiction itself. At some point in time, we have to ask the person who's trying to get more and more and more, why are you doing that? And we know the answer. The answer is, there's this big hole in my heart. There's this ache in my heart. There's this emptiness in my heart. And I'm trying to stuff it full of money so that I can feel better. Well, guess what? Doesn't work. That's not the way life works. There is this big hole in our hearts. And that needs to be fed. But that feeding isn't with money. Now, of course, if you don't have enough money, you've got a different hole in your heart. And having been on that side of the equation of not having enough, being raised in an impoverished city, in an impoverished life, I know how that feeds that emptiness. But I also know that acquiring more and more and more doesn't satisfy that emptiness, doesn't satisfy your heart. Well, I've said in Creating a World That Works for All, which you've read, that emptiness is, I call, spiritual starvation. When our spirit is starved, we wind up like the guy that's out there on the street, lying in the middle of the sidewalk. We also look like the people who are spending billions and billions of dollars to get to Mars, leaving that guy on the street. Now, the reason that they're going to Mars is that that's the only thing they can spend their money on. already got all the other stuff. And so at some point in time, someone has to say, that's enough. Okay, we're gonna turn your tap down, and in some cases maybe turn it off completely. And we're gonna apply that energy to how we live our lives, connected to each other. So, along with spiritual starvation, there's also societal starvation. You start being starved for human society. We created a world that doesn't need other people. You know, your world could be populated by artificial people. When your Siri or your Alexa is talking back to you, it's the imitation of a living being. And that imitation strikes your ears and you say, oh, Alexa's saying something. But then it strikes your heart and it makes it emptier. So the challenge that we have is in a society where our religious institutions have failed us so badly. How do we find true spirituality? Where our social institutions are failing us right now in real time. How do we find a new society, a society where we all can live, we all can work, we all can play, we all can dream? I don't think this is all that hard. As you've heard me say before, I think you should do it before you have to do it. Are you going to wait until the Titanic is so far down it's flooding your floor before you realize it's going to go down for everyone? I keep saying we're smarter than that. However, I keep looking for evidence of that. And right now I'm going to somewhere else. I'll talk about that some other time. And look for more signs of that. I've got another part to this conversation. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Don't forget, like this one, subscribe. Let me say a little bit about subscribing. I get these emails saying, Sharif, where's the next video? When are you going to have the next video? And what I'd like to say is, when are you going to hit the subscribe button? Because you get notice of the next video. So in case you didn't know that that's how the technology works, if you want to know what's coming up, subscribe. Copy the URL and send it to somebody else, another human being. And let's create the human network where we can connect with each other and connect with each other across all of the energies that want to separate us and create a world that actually works for all living beings. Thank you.
You are invited to participate in the discussions and activities that will define a positive future for all. We are at the cusp of the expansion of our human consciousness, beyond the limitations of our past. Together, we can envision a world that embraces our human potential. Together, we can create a world that can truly work for all living beings.